Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have a quorum, so if everyone could get in their seats, we'll get ready to go. Start this meeting in just a minute or so. We got a lot of work to do tonight. I want to try to get through the agenda. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Lynnfield Town Meeting for Monday, April 25th, 2016 will now come to order. We have a quorum. I would ask everyone in the audience, if you have a cell phone on, please silence your cell phones. Put them on vibrate, shut them off, whatever you need to do, but please don't interrupt the meeting. The following non-voters have asked to be admitted to the meeting, and without objection, they may be admitted. Nancy Ryan from the library, Maureen Doherty from the Lynnfield Villager, James Boudreau, the town administrator, Andrew Lyons, firefighter, Bob Curtin, assistant to the administrator, Jane Tremblay, the superintendent of schools, Linda Nakara, the council on aging, Mark Tatro, the fire chief, Leah Dearborn, Lynn Daly Item, Andrew Lafferty, the public works director, Bill LaForme from Lynnfield Advocate, Serena Aurora, and Ashley Kellett, who are going to run the microphones for us, and thank you to both young ladies for doing that tonight, and Charlie Richter, the DPW engineer. Without objection, they may be admitted to the meeting. If you would all please stand. With us tonight, we have the Pioneer Middle School singers, fresh off a worldwide performance somewhere. They are under the direction of Director Stephen Bloom. This group has performed throughout Greater Boston and New England. Their annual concert tours have taken them throughout the Northeast and the Middle Atlantic states, including Quebec and Ontario. Well-traveled group, some great voices, and they're going to dazzle us tonight with the national anthem. Mr. Bloom. A wonderful job. Thank you very much. If you'd all remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to publicly acknowledge and thank Selectman Tom Terranova, who provided great service to the town for several years and decided not to stand for re-election. He is here tonight. Thank you, Tom. I would also like to thank school committee member Susie Cleary, who has served many years in the school committee and also chose to step down, spent many years in public service. Thank you to her. I would also like to thank Nancy Ryan for her years of service as our librarian, and at the risk of being fresh, she isn't really gone. She may no longer be the librarian, but she's here tonight to try to help get this new library project through. That's the kind of dedicated public service we had at the library. So thank you, Nancy. I'd like to welcome the new office holders to the meeting: Dick Dalton on the Board of Selectmen, Rich Mazzola on the Board of Library Trustees, and Mike Sheehan on the Planning Board, all new office holders. So thank you to those folks who are stepping up to serve. Folks, we have 33 articles on the warrant tonight. It's a lot of work to do. I'm hopeful of getting through without in any way impinging upon your right to speak and discuss this. I'm hoping that we will get through the articles tonight and avoid having to come back on Thursday. One of the things that I am going to do tonight is, instead of reading the whole preamble to the article or the whole article as it appears in your warrant, since you already have it in front of you, I'm going to bring it up by article number so everyone knows what the article is. I'm going to call on the motion maker to make the motion, and then going to repeat the motion so that we have a discussion about it, and then we'll engage in an active discussion. But unless there's an objection, I'm hopeful that this will help us get through some of the work that we have to do tonight, and you really don't want to hear me talk that much anyway. I hold my hand the warrant advising the townspeople of town meeting to the Constable of the Town of Lynnfield and the County of Essex. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town, qualified to vote in elections and town affairs, to meet in the middle school auditorium and in the gymnasium if necessary on Monday, April 25th, 2016 at 7:30 p.m. Then and there to act on the following articles. Without objection, I will waive the reading of the warrant in service. I do hold the warrant for this town meeting, including the return of service from Paul Minsky, the Constable. Preliminary motion, Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. We do plan on getting this finished this evening, but if we don't, I'd like to make a motion, and I move that, if necessary, this annual town meeting be adjourned to Thursday, April 28th, 2016 at 7:30 in the middle school auditorium, gymnasium, and cafeteria if need be, should the business of the meeting not be completed.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that, if necessary, this annual town meeting be adjourned to Thursday, April 28th, 2016 at 7:30 p.m. in the middle school auditorium, gymnasium, and cafeteria, if need be, should the business of the meeting not be completed. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Before you, you should all have a consent agenda motion. Selectman Barrett.
I move that the town vote to take Articles 1, 2, 3, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, and 19 out of order, and that they be passed by consent in accordance with the motion shown on the consent agenda distributed this evening.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda to take Articles 1, 2, 3, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, and 19 out of order, and that they be passed by consent in accordance with the motions shown on the consent agenda distributed this evening. For those that are not familiar with the parliamentary process, this is the ability to take all of these in a group and approve them. Most of them are administrative in nature. So if there is no objection, we're going to do that. If there is anyone who would like to be heard on this, please put your hand up. Yes, sir.
My name is Jim Fox, Hawks Lane. Fellow residents, distinguished dais, Mr. Moderator. Article 16 involves the maintenance and so forth of the fields that we put in. It recently, more recently than what we had heard before, there's some serious concerns about cancer from the tire stuff.
Excuse me, Mr. Fox. I'll let you speak on the article, but if you'd like, I think easier for the consent agenda to pull this out, and then when we get to Article 16, I'd be happy to have
If you
speak.
could do, well, no problem.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thanks. So, we've pulled Article 16 out of the consent agenda. The consent agenda now includes 1, 2, 3, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, and 19. Is there any other discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favor of the consent agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. It is unanimous. It requires a 4/5 vote. Moving on to the warrant, Article 1. Mr. Dalton. I'm sorry, it's pulled. I'm sorry. Let me pull. That's my bad. Still learning here. Nope, you're not going. You're not going. Hang on. We're going to go right to directly to Article 4. That's right. That's my fault. Article 4, Mr. Dalton.
I move that the town vote to appropriate $150,000 from free cash and transfer from existing fiscal year 2016 appropriation accounts the sums listed in the handout entitled Article 4-2016 Annual Town Meeting to the accounts listed in said handout in order to balance the fiscal year 16 budget.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to appropriate $150,000 from free cash and transfer from existing fiscal year 2016 appropriation accounts the sums listed in the handout entitled Article 4, 2016 Annual Town Meeting to the accounts listed in said handout in order to balance the fiscal year 16 budget. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of Article 4 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Article 5, Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town vote to indefinitely postpone Article 5.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to indefinitely postpone Article 5. Mr. Crawford.
The reason we're moving for indefinite postponement is because there are no funds that need to be shifted over for the current year.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote on Article 5. All those in favor of Article 5 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Article 5 carries. Point of order, yes, sir. Where are you? Please stand. Hey, wait for a microphone, please.
Jeff Langella, Essex Street. That was for postponement of that amendment?
Yes.
It wasn't carrying the amendment. Thanks.
No, indefinite postponement. Article 6, Mr. Barrett.
I move that the town vote to indefinitely postpone Article 6.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to indefinitely postpone Article 6. Any explanation? Mr. Crawford.
Again, like Article 5, there were no unpaid bills. from the previous fiscal year at this time.
Is there any further discussion on the article? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 6, all those in favor of indefinite postponement of Article 6 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is indefinitely postponed for the article. Article 7, Selectman Dalton.
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds the sum of $50,405,205 for the necessary town charges and expenses as presented by the Board of Selectmen and is shown in the Finance Committee report beginning on page 7 thereof.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to vote to raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds the sum of $50,405,205 for the necessary town charges and expenses as presented by the Board of Selectmen and is shown in the Finance Committee report beginning on page 7 thereof. Folks, we're going to take this the same way we generally take the budget article. We're going to go through it as a group of line items. I will call out the numbers of the lines that we're going to cover. If you would like to have a discussion about anything in that group of line items, the time to do it would be when we hit those line items. You can get up and talk. We can ask for any explanations that need to be had. Once we move on, the town meeting does not generally go back to discuss a back line item. Line items 1 through 14, general government. Line items 15 through 28 under the Finance Department. Line items 29 through 47, general government lines. Line items 48 through 52, the Police Department under Public Safety. Line items 53 through 60, the Fire Department under Public Safety. Line items 61 through 67, other salaries and other expenses. Moving on to page 12 of the booklet. Line items 68 through 89, Public Works. On to page 14. I'm sorry, page 15, my bad. Line items 90 through 96, Human Services. Line items 97 through 103 under Culture and Recreation. On to page 17, line items 104, 104A, and 105 under Education. Microphone, please, Mr. Hawk.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Sorry.
It's kind of dark back here, and the printing is very small. I don't want to miss the line item about the full kindergarten day for everybody. Excuse me, to be paid for by the town. I don't know which line item it is.
Now would be the time, Mr. Fox, I'll recognize you to speak on that. It's within that 104 item.
Okay. It's my understanding that $1 million is supposed to be spent on full-day kindergarten. Is that a fact or not?
I'll allow the school department to take the questions. Mr. Gary?
No, full-day kindergarten
That's, excuse me, my understanding was that you were trying to go, not you personally, but the school department was trying to have all of the full-time daycare paid for by the town. Is that true?
Yes, full time.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Yes, that is a fact. Well, I have a little problem. I did some research, and the research stunned me to find out that Ontario, Canada spent $1.5 billion on full-day kindergarten to only find out it failed miserably. During my research, I found out the only people usually that are helped by full-day kindergarten are minorities, Hispanics, and poor people. We don't have a lot of them in this town. Now, the people who are proponents of full-day kindergarten are scared to death of the term, 1 minute, fade out. And what happens with fade out is whatever advantage full-time daycare students get is gone by the time they reach the 3rd grade. I've got stuff from the National Association of School Psychologists that say that this full-day kindergarten should not be pushing a lot of academics or they are likely to fail. The National Education Association, the NEA, recognizes that FDK closes gaps for minorities and low-income families, as well as the $1.5 billion that Ontario spent. California had the same experience. It appears that the only value in full-day kindergarten is it's a cheap way for parents to have daycare. You have approximately 500 hours. I'll break it down a little simpler. I originally figured we have 180 school days. Take 10 of them away for teachers' conferences, snow, whatever, and cut it down to 170. That's 520, at 3 hours a day, it's 520 hours. At $10 an hour, it'd be $2,500. Not a bad daycare, I guess, huh? At $5, it would cost you, excuse me, it would be at $10 an hour, it would be $5,200 that it would cost. Okay, so I don't feel that myself or anybody else in this town should be picking up the tab and giving out free daycare for a program that does not work. Any advantage that these kids get is only at the end of that kindergarten year, and it begins to dissipate. By the time they're 3rd graders, going into the 3rd grade, there is no advantage whatsoever. So I don't think that we need to be paying people's daycare. It's that simple, especially on a program that has been proven to work mostly for minorities, Hispanic speaking, and poverty-stricken areas. I don't think we qualify on any of those 3. So at any rate, I'm surprised that this even got this far. I read an article that Mr. Crawford wrote, and he was talking about how it was going to cost us $1 million. And yeah, you did. I'll tell you exactly what you said. It was going to cost us $1 million to do it, and another $300,000 we were going to lose from the full-time daycare. It was a letter you wrote to the editor, Crawford. Don't tell me you deny everything lately.
Mr. Fox.
Anyway, I read it. Maybe somebody sent it in your name. At any rate, like I say, I oppose this town paying for the full-time daycare, full-time kindergarten, because I guess once word gets out, I don't know how many kindergartners we even have, but once word gets out, they'll all be going a full day. Then they don't have to pay a babysitter. Then you get up to your million maybe.
All right,
That's it.
you've made your point, Mr. Fox. Somebody from the schools want to respond?
Thank you, Mr. Fox. First, just to clarify, it is not full-day daycare. It is full-day kindergarten. And the decision to put this in this year's budget was based solely on the rigors and the standards of Massachusetts and what Massachusetts is telling us that we need to have for our children. So it was based on the academic, the social, and the emotional standards that we know that we need to provide for our children, and we believe we need to do that with a full-day K program for everybody.
I would ask all speakers, first of all, to identify themselves when they get to the microphone and with a name and address. And secondly, I would ask everyone to look inside the front cover. It talks about parliamentary procedure. In paragraph 8, it talks about respect for other people in town meeting. And I would ask all speakers to make sure that their presentation stays within the guidelines. That's a specific quote from Robert's Rules, and I will be enforcing it. I will ask you to show the respect if I hear it. And if you don't want to respect other speakers or other people in this room, then I'll ask you to leave the hall. Moving on, is there any more debate on the line item 104 under the schools? Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Campbell.
Patricia Campbell, 7 Patrice Lane. I am fully in favor of full-time kindergarten funded by the public. I was an educator for 38 years. I was on the executive board of the National PTA, the largest advocacy association in the nation, and also president of the state PTA. Massachusetts is at the top of every other state in the nation in education. One of the many things that means is that the demands on the children, on our students, is very high and compared to many other states in the nation. Kindergarten is now part of a full education. When many of us went to school, or at least people my age went to school, there was no kindergarten. We need it now, and it's not for daycare. I'm also in favor of a part-time, a .5 music position for the Huckleberry School, because I think to be equal with the Summer Street School, which has a full-time music teacher, it's important that we provide cultural education. The best school systems in Massachusetts have broader cultural arts programs than we do. I will also say, however, that I am not in favor of adding $50,000, which you can see on page 17, where under administration in the far right column. What that's doing is adding to a present position of someone that retired who was making $70,000, adding $50,000 to it and creating what I have been calling a deputy superintendent of schools, but that's not what they're calling it. They're calling it head of instruction and technology. I believe that duplicates what principals, curriculum specialists, and all of the other jobs, and teachers as well. It's better for the teachers, the media specialists, the principals to be working to work on the curriculum, because there's more buy-in when they've done it, and there's more knowledge of what's in the curriculum when they've done it. I think a $70,000 position would have certainly been adequate to coordinate the curriculum instead of having a $120,000 position. I've expressed that before at meetings. Let's watch and see who gets the job. May be very interesting.
Before I engage in further discussion, for the folks that are standing up in the center aisle, there are plenty of seats down front here. There are some up in the back, but I would ask you to please have a seat. Same goes for the people in the middle row. So if you're here to vote or participate, you need to move into one of the seated sections to be involved in this town meeting. Please come right in. Everybody wants to see you. We're all happy you're here. Is there any further discussion on this line items on the education, 104, 104A, and 105? Hearing none, we'll move on to page 19, line items 106 through 112. Line items 113 through 119.
Yeah, Mr. Moderator, we have a comment.
Mr. Dahlstedt.
Good evening. Couple comments. Wow, that thing's close. So two comments here. One, everybody sees line number 119, the OPEB trust. This is a new line item that has been created in the operating budget to fund other post-employment benefits. I think folks will recall for the last couple of town meetings, we have been allocating a certain amount to the OPEB trust. We're now adding a line item into the operating budget here. We passed it fairly quickly in the DPW section, but we are removing $500,000 out of the DPW line and putting it into capital. We will talk about that shortly. That's to continue the work that we're doing on our roads. But the Finance Committee just wants people to be grounded on some of the moving parts of the budget. So two things as a result of that. One, if you were to leave the $500,000 in the budget, the actual increase in the budget would be around 5.9%, so almost 6%. If you did not put OPEB in the operating budget and left the 500,000 in, it would be about 5.5. So we're talking, the most important message to take away from that is that we're both funding what is a long-term liability, this OPEB trust, as well as we're making a commitment in our capital budget that we'll get to in a moment to continue the work on our roads. And we're going to need to continue to make those commitments for liabilities that are out there. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote on Article 7. All those in favor of the budget as moved signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Article 8. Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $2,528,908 for the purchase of various equipment and items in the nature of capital expenditures as shown in the Finance Committee report on page 21 thereof, and to give authority to credit the value of the various old equipment to be turned in towards the purchase price of said new items. Said sums of money to be expended under the direction of the several boards and committees of the town, and that to raise as appropriation, A, the sum of $439,908 be raised and appropriated from the tax levy. B, the sum of $1,240 be appropriated from free cash. And C, the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, be authorized to borrow the sum of $849,000 under and pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 7, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town thereof.
Mr. Crawford, you might want to go back and revise your motion to $1,240,000, not $1,240.
I'm sorry. Under B, the sum of $1,240,000.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $2,528,908 for the purchase of various equipment and items in the nature of capital expenditures as shown in the Finance Committee report on page 21 thereof, and to give authority to credit the value of the various old equipment to be turned in toward the purchase price of said new items. Said sums of money to be expended under the direction of the several boards and committees of the town, and that to raise this appropriation, A, the sum of $439,908 be raised and appropriated from the tax levy. B, the sum of $1,240,000 be appropriated from free cash. And C, the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, be authorized to borrow the sum of $849,000 under and pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 7, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town therefore. Is there any discussion on Article 8? Mr. Dahlstedt, I'm sorry, I should have gone to you for a recommendation.
Thanks. The Finance Committee recommended Article 8. One note on the publication, the numbers you should be focusing on, and if you did the math quickly on your phone, the total would be the 2528908. In a subsequent meeting to the publication, the Board of Selectmen voted that final number for this article. So the column, there are two columns at the bottom of your page. Please disregard the one that is labeled BOS and focus on the one that is labeled FinCom. That is the recommendation of the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen.
Mr. Crawford?
The board, I was just going to say, the Board of Selectmen did recommend this article because we voted on the 140 after this was printed. So again, what Mr. Dahlstedt has already said, that the Board of Selectmen does recommend this article.
Any further discussion on the article? Sir? Who would like to speak? Please stand. I see you up in the back. Yes, sir.
Wallace McKenzie, 4 Debston Lane. Is there a list anywhere of the roads that are going to be done for $500,000?
Mr. Lafferty, would you like to answer that or comment on that? Can one of the mic runners please bring Mr. Lafferty the microphone? If you want to introduce yourself to the crowd.
Andrew Lafferty, DPW Director. Currently, the list is posted on the webpage. I believe it was also submitted to the newspaper also, and there is a copy in the DPW office if you call and request it.
And you don't want to try to recite the list off the top of your head because then somebody will hold you to that? Does the meeting like to hear the list? Yes? No? Mr. Lafferty, could you just go through the list? Thank you.
I'll go through it briefly. We have Candlewood Lane from Perkins to Hart Road, Driftwood Lane from Wildwood Drive to Birch Road, Gray Lane from Chatham Road to number 25 Gray Lane, Hidden Valley Road from Salem Street to the end, Lowell Street, Goldenrod Lane to North Hill Drive, Maiden Lane from Hart Road to the end of the road, Perkins Lane from Chestnut Street to the end.
Is there any further discussion on Article 8? If not, we'll proceed to a vote. This does require a 2/3 vote. It is a borrowing article. If it's unanimous, we can move forward. If it's not, we'll stop and take a hand-counted vote. So all those in favor of Article 8, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. It is unanimous. Article 9, Mr. Barrett.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 to the stabilization fund.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 to the stabilization fund. Any further discussion on this article? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. Again, a two-thirds vote is required. All those in favor of the article signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. It is unanimous. The motion carries. Article 10, Mr. Dalton.
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 to the Capital Facilities Maintenance Fund.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 to the Capital Facilities Maintenance Fund. Any discussion? Is there a recommendation from the Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends Article 10.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 10, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Article 11, Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town vote to indefinitely postpone Article 11.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to indefinitely postpone Article 11. Is there an explanation? Mr. Crawford.
Yes, this is the article that would have handled the OPEB contribution, but we've added that to our operating budget now, so this article is no longer needed.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to indefinitely postpone Article 11 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. (12), (13), (14), and 15 were part of the consent agenda. We're on to Article 16. Mr. Dalton.
I move that the town vote to reauthorize the establishment of a revolving fund pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E1 and 2, to be spent by the Department of Public Works with the approval of the town administrator, limited to $50,000 without further appropriation during fiscal year 2017 to pay expenses related to maintenance and upkeep of athletic fields. Said fund to be credited with all field maintenance fees and charges received during fiscal year 2017 for field use.
It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to reauthorize the establishment of a revolving fund pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to be spent by the Department of Public Works, limited to $50,000 without further appropriation during fiscal year 2017 to pay expenses related to maintenance and upkeep of athletic fields. Said fund to be credited with all field maintenance fees and charges received during 2017 for field use. Recommendations from the Board of Selectmen first.
The Board of Selectmen recommends Article 16.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends Article 16.
Mr. Fox, I'll go to you, sir.
Fox from Hawks Lane. I'm curious, because of some research I've done on this, on tire crumb, will they be replacing ballast on our fields? I don't hear an answer, so I'll go on with what I've got. In February 12th of this year, the federal government has 3 agencies investigating the use of tire crumb. EPA, ASTDR, Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease something, CPSC, Consumer Product Safety, at any rate. So the claims of cancer being caused by tire crumb are alive and well again. And they do have another substance that is not tire crumb, it's organic. And this is being put in by the tons to protect the kids, the coaches, whomever else. I mean, I've got to guess, I don't have kids that play up in those fields at this time in my life, but these kids have got to be bringing that tire crumb home in their clothes, in their socks. God only knows how much they've breathed it. I don't know how your washing machines or dryers are working, ladies, but I just got that distinct feeling that there's got to be a problem. Meanwhile, I would like to recommend that if the ballast is being replaced, that it would be replaced with organic. Organic infill, they call it. Everybody thinks it's funny. Cancer isn't funny.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Any other discussion? Any further? Where are you? Yes, sir.
Bob McDonald, 7 Nottingham Road. First of all, men do the laundry too. Also, can you just assure us the money's being appropriated, the materials that are used will be chosen by the town, but we're talking about a money appropriation right now, not materials appropriation. Is that correct? We're not talking about materials here. We're just money. Correct?
We're talking about the maintenance of the fields, not the replacement of the ballast up there.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Conley.
Thank you. Stephen Conley, 17 Townsend Road. I know the amount isn't for the full maintenance, but is there a plan associated with how the $50,000 will be allocated in fiscal year 17?
We're still in the process of finishing that plan, but it will be appropriated according to a plan that will be approved by the Recreation Commission. We're going to be doing some outsourcing and some work by the DPW. We're just about finalizing that now, looking at the cost of outsourcing some of this stuff and then going out to bid on it.
Any further discussion on Article 16? Mrs. Campbell?
I would add to the previous speaker that I'm concerned about our wetlands and the crumbled rubber going into those. I think as the previous speaker's sentiments are well, a great caution, tale of caution. I would also like to ask if over the $50,000, if the money will go to the general fund.
No, that money remains in the revolving fund, Mrs. Campbell.
So it's not just 50,000, up to 50,000.
We can only spend up to 50,000. If additional funds are brought in, they stay in that fund. They do not go to the general fund.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on Article 16? It's been moved and seconded to proceed to a vote on Article 16. All those in favor of proceeding to a vote on Article 16 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We'll now vote on Article 16. All those in favor of Article 16 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Article 16 carries. Article 17, Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town vote to authorize the establishment of a revolving fund pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to be spent by the Department of Public Works, limited to $10,000 without further appropriation during fiscal year 2017 to pay expenses related to the scheduling, maintenance, and upkeep of the Al Merritt Cultural Center for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2016, and said fund to be credited with all fees and charges received during fiscal year 2017 for the use of said facility.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to authorize the establishment of a revolving fund pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to be spent by the Department of Public Works, limited to $10,000, without further appropriation during fiscal year 2017, to pay expenses related to the scheduling, maintenance, and upkeep of the Al Merritt Cultural Center for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2016. said fund to be credited with all fees and charges received during fiscal year 2017 for the use of said facility. Mr. Crawford.
Thank you. This is for the fees that are being charged at the Merit Center. It's, the fund is new for this because the center is new to the town. It's for replacement of or damaged or worn carpeting, furniture, any maintenance that the facility needs, and this will authorize the funds to be used for that purpose.
Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends Article 17.
Any further discussion on Article 17? Mrs. Randall.
Kathy Randall, 55 Carter Road. You have in here scheduling. So who does the scheduling for this? And part of that money goes to whoever schedules that room? I don't understand how that's going to work.
Right now, the room's scheduled by Eric, who runs the cable studio down there. We are anticipating if at some point the demand for that room gets high, we might have to have someone do the scheduling because it'll take up too much of his time. So if that comes to fruition, we'll be able to use the funds to cover some of that cost.
Any further discussion on Article 17? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 17 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. 18 and 19 were part of the consent agenda. We're on to Article 20. Mr. Calamari.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to move Article 20 to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Library Trustees to apply for, accept, and expend without further appropriation any state funds which may be available to defray all or part of the cost of the design, construction, and equipping of a new library building, and to approve the schematic design for such a project that are shown on a set of plans entitled Preliminary Site Plan and Schematic Layout for New Linfield Public Library, dated March 25, 2016, which are on file with the town clerk, or to take any other action in relation thereto.
Hang on one second, I'm writing. It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to authorize the Board of Library Trustees to apply for, accept, and expend without further appropriation any state funds which may be available to defray all or part of the cost of the design, construction, and equipping of a new library building, and to approve the schematic design for such a project that is shown on a set of plans entitled Preliminary Site Plans and Schematic Layout for New Linfield Public Library, dated March 25, 2016, which are on file with the town clerk, or to take any other action related thereto. Mr. Calamari.
Additionally, Mr. Moderator, we'd like to move the town meeting waive the 10-minute time limit on speakers and allow the Board of Trustees and our partners to make a 20-minute presentation that has been prepared by the Board of Library Trustees.
It's been moved and seconded that town meeting waive its 10-minute time restriction on speaking and allow the Board of Trustees and additional people representing the library to make a 20-minute presentation that's been prepared by the Board of Library Trustees. Is there any further discussion on the request for additional time? No further, hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote on the request for additional time. All those in favor of allowing the library 20 minutes to speak signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Mr. Calamari.
Okay, before we get started with the presentation this evening, I just want to provide a little bit of context in order to clear up any confusion. Tonight, Tonight, we are seeking to apply for matching state funds to build a new library pursuant to the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners Grant Program. So specifically, what we're looking to do is to approve the warrant article to submit a grant request for matching funds, as well as to approve a preliminary site plan and schematic design that we have spent the past 2 years and approximately $75,000 studying. We are not seeking approval for any financial commitment on the part of the town this evening. We'll have plenty of time and opportunity to debate the merits and the funding means for a new library if we are successful in securing matching funds. My fellow trustee and head of the Library Building Committee, Russ Bokenkroger, our former library director, Nancy Ryan, and our new library director, Holly Mercer, along with Cliff Gailey from our partners at William Ron Associates, will lead us through the discussion. Thanks.
We're just going to stay up here.
Please identify yourself.
Yes, I'm Russ Bokenkroger, library trustee and chair of the building committee. And as Bob Calamari indicated, we have been at this for a couple of years now. In 2014, town meeting approved applying for the grant to $75,000. We're at a point right now where to go the next step and try to get this 40 to 60% state funding towards a new library building requires approval of town meeting. And that there's really no additional cost at this point in time. As Bob indicated, that would come at a later time. And that timeline sounds and works out as follows. Before November this year, the plans are based on Reedy Meadow. We would need the town consent to be able to even conditionally submit to the state Mass Board of Library Commissioners a plan predicated on Reedy Meadow. So that again will involve town consent. We're not doing that at this point in time. In January of 2017, the application would be filed with the state. In July of 2017, we would hear whether or not our application was approved by the state. For those of you who don't recall, in 2000, Linfield had applied for a grant of this nature, and we were rejected. It was not approved by the State Board of Library Commissioners. We like to be successful at this point in time. Presuming that we are approved and get a grant, the earliest possible time that we would have to decide on the monies would be January of 2018. In as much as 20, 25 libraries, towns are in the same situation that we are right now, it's unlikely that that's going to happen at that point in time. This would allow us, and we are right now anyway, aligned with town processes, looking at capital facilities across Linfield and things that need to be done to them. So we're in lockstep with that process and progressing on that basis so that any monies that the town would be allocating towards a new library would be considered in concert with investments made in other capital facilities in town, be they for fire, police, recreation, seniors, town departments, what have you. So that we're traveling in that company in terms of how those decisions would be made and at those points in time. If anybody is not familiar with the library very much, there was a brochure that was handed out. Some of the materials that I'll be showing here, just to update you in terms of where we are, parking and access at the present library are a challenge. It's complicated crossing 2 streets from the town hall lot if you do park over there, and a little bit tricky no matter how old you are, and very difficult if you've got young ones in a stroller and stuff like that. We've had one employee who was hit in front of the library, missed 6 months of work this year, or actually last year, having been run into by a car on their way to work from the town hall lot. There is tricky access, and accessibility is limited. If you are a senior or need wheelchair access or have young ones in with a stroller, it's complicated. There are no automatic doors, so that's a little bit of a challenge. And that at the basement and the steps you can see here, we have a lot of flooding. When the parking lot floods in the back, it goes right down the stairs and into the basement. And you can see that here in the fiction department and in periodicals, and actually in the mechanical room where the furnace is located and some of the electrical boxes in the basement, that floods. We were closed for 6 weeks last fall when we had the big storm. And so maintenance, there's a lot of maintenance work that's involved. This has been deferred over a number of years, and that whether the library stays in the building or another town function moves in, there's additional work that's required just to keep using the place. It's also very crowded, and there's some examples here. It's quite noisy because of the vaulted ceilings are great, but noise does carry quite a bit throughout the entire library, echoing off the ceiling. And another part of the space problem is there's no meeting space in town other than the Al Merritt Center, which was just indicated, or the school auditoriums. There's no place to meet. When we do hold meetings in the library, it gets noisy throughout the library and disruptive. About 20, 25 people in chairs can make it in this area. And as a part of the new facility, we would be looking at providing for a community meeting space that would be available in hours when the library is not open. Right now, space in the library is available only when the library is open, so there would be separate access. Cliff Gailey from William Warren Associates, when he goes through, will be explaining how some of that will work. And again, we'd have very limited space for toddlers and kids, and that there really is no teen space in the library. That spills over to other areas, as you can see, and that since the library was last worked on 20 years ago, technology has changed quite a bit, so it's not quite ready for the 21st century yet in terms of technology, laptops, wiring, and stuff like that. It's very complicated. And that now Holly Mercer, our new director, is going to be talking a little bit about the future and the kind of activities that we'd like to be able to accommodate in a new library building. In looking at the existing structure, it was just pretty much concluded that we would not be able to accommodate the needs of the community going forward in the present structure, hence looking at a new building on Reedy Meadow. I could have mentioned this and should have, but the golf course operations will be uninterrupted. They'll continue, so the first tee program will be on a new green in front of the new building, and that the golf course will continue to operate the way that it is. It will be the beneficiary of an additional 50 parking spaces and a total of 120, presuming that everything works out and the new structure goes up. Holly?
As a new partner in Linfield's future, I'm excited at what the possibilities of a new library means for the community. And we've talked with numerous community residents throughout this project, and we've heard from many of you about how valuable the library is to you. And we really believe in our library, you believe in the library, and we want to provide you with the best resource possible for the community. So a way to be a 21st library is to have collaborative learning community spaces. And as Russ went through, our we're really focusing on what a 21st century library looks like. And these are some of the elements of a 21st century library that we have on the screen here. And I really want to highlight that 21st century libraries are really collaborative learning spaces. So they're spaces that connect you to each other. They're spaces that connect you to information. And they're spaces that provide you the opportunity to enrich your lives and enrich the lives of others. In a new library space, you build in flexibility, we build in adaptability, and we make it a space that's truly reflective of the Linfield community. And those are all things that we're looking forward to with the possibility of a new building.
So I'm Clifford Gailey from William Ron Associates. Honored to be here. And as architects of, you're going to adjust the mic for me, thank you. Terrific. Thank you. Can you hear me? There we go. So as architects of the Cambridge Public Library, of the Boston Public Library, Johnson Wing, the East Boston, and the Mattapan Libraries, we really love libraries. We share that same passion with Holly and Nancy, and we're honored to be the architects of your library. We've had the opportunity to work closely with Russ and his colleagues on the building committee, and again to work closely with Nancy and Holly, and so many of you in the community during our meeting sessions. So we really appreciate that. You have a great site with Reedy Meadow. As an architect looking at it, you've got incredible views out across the golf course. Up here, you've got a green space that allows the building to have a real civic presence, an anchor from just down Summer Street to the existing site, and a real opportunity to have very clear vehicular access, parking drop-off, and the like. A really great site. And that said, we are very aware that there is a strong concern in the community that we not impede on the golf course. That's been made clear to us as designers. Russ has made that point. And we are preserving the clubhouse where it stands. We're in fact relocating its 50 spaces and putting them on, making them part of a bigger parking arrangement, and preserving the first tee program as you mentioned. So really trying to make the library a good neighbor to the existing golf facility, and this an asset to the entire community. We have had a very open process. I see many faces from our earlier meetings, and we've really appreciated the input about what makes a Linfield building, what you all are looking for in a library. And the design, if I can change to the floor plan here, is really trying to reflect that. First and foremost, a one-story building, so it has a better chance to fit within the residential scale of the neighborhood. You can see it's not a perfect square. In fact, we have lots of ins and outs to really break down the scale of the building. As we move further into the design, we're gonna get much more specific, but this gives you a sense. At the heart of the library is an interior town common, if you will, a large space that looks back out to Summer Street, but also looks across to the views and opens out to a reading court right here. Special spaces, dedicated spaces for children's and teens, both of which have access to their own, we'll say, fenced-in outdoor space. So think of it as an outdoor space as part of the library security. And then the last component is having meeting rooms, conference space with bathrooms nearby that are part of the library during the day, but at nighttime can be remain open. So envision a drop-down gate here, so this part can be open in the evening and be very visible from Summer Street. We are going to be submitting the grant application in a number of months. As part of that, we're developing elevations, we're developing cost estimates, and that will be part of the grant application process. But even once we get the grant, really the design is going from there. I mean, this is a conceptual schematic design, but it's not set in stone. We've had a lot of opportunity for input, but there'll be plenty of opportunity when the project gets the green light. So let me turn it back to Russ for questions.
If there are any comments or questions, we'll certainly deal with the questions, the comments, or your own opinions if you'd like to voice them.
Questions from the meeting? Yes, ma'am, over here. Wait for the microphone, please. You're off the clock, Mr. Booker. You're off the clock.
Hi, I'm Judy Burson-Hoyt from Harvey Park, and I just have a question. Sudbury just redid their library, and they made a drive-up window to be able to return the books for anyone handicapped, small children, without getting out of the car. Have you thought to incorporate that into our new library?
Yes, and that's actually, and Cliff may be better to address that than me, but it's an open question now how that's going to work because of the drive-through and the way that you would come in. We'd have to be in Great Britain to be able to drop the cars off as the books off as the driver. So there's some details that we have to work out. And then have accessibility to the building so it's not a problem for the staff to be able to take the trolleys inside. So that's a detail we have yet to work out.
Any further discussion? Yes, sir. In the middle, right to your right.
Yeah, Richard Piner, 3 Rourke Lane. How much more space is in this plan than versus the library we have? And also, assuming you get the grant, what's the next step? What are these matching funds? What percentages do they match? Where do they come from? Can we have a guesstimate on what the cost of this project is going to be? And can we have a few more specifics on what your time span is for the course of this project? And also, I've heard about a nice new building, which I kind of think I'm in favor of, but you know, the Library of the Future is also going to be Wi-Fi and electronic. What are we doing about getting more Wi-Fi books available? What we have at the library now compared to what I can get on Amazon is extraordinarily limited, even if I do have to pay $9 on Amazon. But it seems to me that some of this money should be going to make our electronic library considerably better than it is.
A lot of questions there, not just one. I'll try to step back. First of all, with the timeline that we're working to, this is a grant round from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. The cycle is around 7 years for the grants. We're 2 years into our process. That doesn't mean they're 5 years until we've got a new building, but the earliest possible time that the town would have to decide would be January of 2018. We don't believe that that's when it's going to happen. You had made a comment about more electronics in terms of content, and I'll let Holly take that.
Addressing the comment on library collections, we have seen a shift in the availability of information in numerous formats, and one of those being ebooks. Libraries, when they purchase ebooks, there are separate contracts that libraries follow to get ebook material, and the pricing structure is different than individuals. That being said, we do have that as a priority in our budget, and it's something that we're looking forward to expanding even more into the future is some of our technology and some of our collection formats. We did just introduce Chromebooks in the library where you can come and use those in the library facility. So I welcome any of you to come into the library and give me your feedback on library collections as well.
Dr. Piner had also asked about cost, matching grants.
Right, I'm going to go through that, Mr. Moderator. First on the size, though, the present library is around 14,500 square feet. In 2000, year 2000, the proposal was for 22,000 700 square feet. This proposal, as it stands, is 23,500 or 800 square feet more than were identified as needed in the year 2000, although the uses of the space is radically different in terms of what is contained in this. That was predicated on the existing structure, actually taking parking spaces away, not adding parking spaces, so there were a lot of issues with how that worked out at that point in time. Again, we're eligible in the zone of 40 to 60% for matching funding for eligible costs, which is not everything that needs to be spent, but it's in the range of 90 to 95% of the cost will be split between the state and the town of Lynnfield. We will be identified, it will be identified to us what percentage we will get, but there's some formulas there, and a lot of it is really driven by the bottom line cost, and we don't have that yet. And that it would really be irresponsible to throw numbers around. You can multiply, dollars per square foot by 23.5 and to your heart's content to figure out what it might cost. But that's yet to be worked out as a part of the application that's submitted in January of 2017.
Doctor, did that answer your questions? Any further questions for the library board? Mrs. Campbell.
In the presentation, you mentioned that spaces will be open to the community at all hours, not just library hours. Would you elaborate on that? And I also would comment that I'm still noticing that the architects are talking about work that they've done in cities, East Boston, Cambridge, Mattapan, for example. So perhaps they could address their experience with small towns with about 12,000 inhabitants. Thank you.
Okay.
I think I'll try to stand on my tiptoes this time. Might make it easier. To address Mrs. Campbell's question about the meeting room, thankfully we are open a lot of hours, and we're open until 9 several nights a week. So that does give access to our program room. What we're talking about additionally is if there's times that we are not open, in the design, we are making it possible to have just the program room open and not other services of the library be offered. We'll have a policy around that, but yes, we want to make it truly a community space, and that means allowing use of the building outside the library operating hours.
So the question on the community access is that, and this is typical for libraries, is having some portion of the program operable, let's say, till 9 or 10. If there's a meeting like this, maybe not quite as big, that the couple of the rooms of the library can be made available, and the important part of that is to design them in a way that they are functional during the day, but also they are severable from the rest of the library at night. So you can see the two rooms, the conference room and the program, but we also made sure to put the bathrooms right there as well, so that those are part of the, almost a building within a building, if you will, for the evening use. In terms of your second question, most of our projects are for institutions, whether they're higher ed or cities, towns as well. We do work in with buildings of this size. The East Boston Library is actually smaller than the one we have here. The Mattapan one is smaller than the one we have here. So while their streets are busier, the issues of scale are comparable. So we're anxious. We're very interested in making this feel like a Lynnfield building, and a building that will be around
Any further discussion? Mr. Dahlstead? Up in the back.
Eddie Whaley, Old Town Road. Just want to talk a little bit about the usage of the land right now, as far as the junior programs that are there, the outings that are there. We all know that the trees and everything is going to be very little room for the first tee program. You mentioned something about a putting green. The only reason why that area works now is because of the trees. I've got 50 yards, 25 yards across to run these programs, and those will be gone when the library goes in, which is fine, just as long as the people know that. Thank you.
Comment?
That's certainly not the intention, and that on this particular drawing, you can see that. This is the area that we're referring to where the first tee would be. We had met in December before we took this any further with Donnie Lyons and went through this all with him, and he was quite happy with the space that was identified. You might be able to get a better perspective on that from the model that's in the lobby here coming at the entrance coming into the school, and you can see that really looking at that's as a scale model, and that if that's something that we need to pay attention to in terms of how we're doing this going forward. We do not want to disrupt the golf operations at all in any way.
Any further discussion on Article 20? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 20 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Article 21. Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that pursuant to General Law, Chapter 40, Section 15A, and any other applicable authority, the town vote to transfer to the Board of Selectmen for the purpose of sale or lease the real property known and numbered as 567 Main Street, Lynnfield, Massachusetts, including the structures and fixtures thereon erected, being the same property conveyed to the town by deed dated October 2nd, 2014, and recorded with the Essex South District Registry of Deeds at Book 3358, page 278, from Donald M. Donovan, Charles S. Donovan, and Alice Cannon, trustees of the Center Farm Nominee Realty Trust 2. Under Declaration of Trust dated December 28, 2007, recorded with said deeds at Book 27459, page 234, consisting of 7 acres, more or less, in pursuant to General Law, Chapter 40, Section 3, Chapter 30B, Section 16, and any other applicable authority to authorize the selectmen to sell, transfer, and convey or lease the said real property subject to an historic preservation restriction under General Laws, Chapter 184, Sections 31 through 33, pertaining to said property and the exterior of the structures and fixtures thereon, such sale and otherwise to be on such terms and subject to such conditions as the selectmen may deem prudent.
I'll second that.
It's moved and seconded that pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 15A, and any other applicable authority, the town vote to transfer to the Board of Selectmen for the purpose of sale or lease the real property known and numbered as 567 Main Street, Lynnfield, Massachusetts, including the structures and fixtures thereon erected, being the same property conveyed to the town by deed dated October 2nd, 2014, and recorded with the Essex South District Registry of Deeds at Book 33587, page 278, from Donald M. Donovan, Charles S. Donovan, and Alice Kiernan, trustees of the Center Farm Nominee Realty Trust 2. Under Declaration of Trust dated December 28, 2007, recorded with the said deeds at Book 27459, page 234, consisting of 7 acres, more or less, and pursuant to General Law, Chapter 40, Section 3, Chapter 30B, Section 16, and any other applicable authority to authorize the selectmen to sell, transfer, and convey, or to lease the said real property subject to an historic preservation restriction under General Laws, Chapter 184, Sections 31 through 33, pertaining to the said property and the exterior of the structures and fixtures thereon, such sale otherwise to be on such terms and subject to such conditions as the selectmen may seem prudent. Before I go to recommendations, I'm just going to ask that everyone that's in the doorways and in the center hallway move into a seat or a chair for this discussion. Other than the police officers, we should have nobody in those central hallways. In addition, to be counted, you need to be in a seat so we can count you when we come to a vote. Is there a recommendation from the Board of Selectmen?
The Board of Selectmen recommend Article 21.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends Article 21.
The Historical Commission? I can't believe there's nobody here from the Historical Commission. Where are we?
Oh, there is. Mr. Moderator, the Historical Commission fully recommends Article 21.
And the CFAC, Mr. Caswell?
Mr. Moderator, the Capital Facilities Advisory Committee accepts and votes for Article 21.
Any further discussion on Article 21? Mr. Wills? She's coming to you, Mr. Wills. That's fine. Whatever's easiest.
In accordance with the requirements of the town charter, the planning board has considered Article 21 and recommends adoption of the article as is.
My apologies to the planning board. I should have gone to you for recommendation. Any further discussion? Mrs. Campbell.
I move to amend Article 21 so that the final authority for the disposition of Center Farm is retained by the town meeting, while giving the selectmen the authority to accept bids, etc., for the sale in preparation for town meeting approval. May I speak to my amendment?
Let me make sure I get the amendment correct, Mrs. Campbell. Your motion is, you move to amend that Article 21 be subject to final approval authorizing the sale by town meeting. Is that sufficient? Is there more to it? Did I
There
miss
was
something?
another part to it, while giving the selectmen the authority to accept bids, etc., for the sale in preparation for town meeting approval.
Motion is to move to amend Article 21 so final authority rests with town meeting but gives the selectmen the authority to accept bids in preparation for town meeting. You may speak to the motion.
Thank you. First of all, I thought there was going to be a presentation similar to what was done at the selectmen's meeting. And I gather that that's not going to happen. But I want to point out to people that at the special town meeting that was extremely well attended, people were voted that town meeting would retain authority over Center Farm. The selectmen have to put the property out to bid, and I think that's very important for people to know. Some unknown party may outbid the gentleman that made the proposal, and the selectmen are obligated by law to take the highest bid. A residence, I'm sure, would be fine with people. We certainly want to retain the character of Linfield Center, represented by the beautiful Center Farm. The question in my mind is, why didn't this resident come forward before? The offer is about $825,000 in that year, and what occurs to me is that the townhouses behind the senior center, the first two I visited when they were up for sale, the first two that were put up for sale, they were in the range of $800,000 to $900,000 for townhouses, not on 7 acres. So I questioned the appraisal of the property at $825,000. We paid over $1 million. I think it was $1.2 million. 2 years ago, we all know that the property in Linfield has increased in value, not decreased. And you know that when you get your tax bill. So, will the property fall into the hands of hitherto unknown businessman? Market Street didn't turn out the way we were told when we voted. I advise town meeting voters to retain authority over the property until we have a definite deal, and give our 3 selectmen limited authority to pursue bids and be transparent about it. Thank you.
Mr. Crawford. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Folks, we bought the property 2 years ago to protect the property, to protect the character of the center of our town, and we wanted to save this historic piece that we cherish so much. The idea was we were going to put preservation restrictions on it, which we have. Any buyer of this property is going to have to comply with the preservation restrictions that we have, and that keeps the property as a single-family home, like it's been for 350 years. Our goal ultimately was to get a local family that would want to come in, fix the place up, and live in it. Town meeting restricted the permission to put it out for bid, to come back to town meeting before the selectmen could do that. At this point, we're asking to do that. We do have a family. The gentleman is going to speak here tonight, and they would like to bid on it. All right, we haven't made a deal. He hasn't made an offer. The minimum bid on the property is the current appraised value. By law, we have to put it out at that minimum bid. We had it appraised last year. It appraised at $825,000. We're getting a new appraisal done right now, and obviously it should be a little more than that. If the town went up 10% since then, it should be, $850, $875. We don't know what it's going to come in yet, but we should have that soon. In the meantime, the Historical Commission has been working on the preservation restrictions, and those are already set up and in place. All right, that's to keep anybody from breaking this property up. It's 7 acres of land. A builder wanted to come in there and break up into 4 house lots. That's why the town bought it. We've put the restrictions in place. It's going to stay as a single-family house on 7 acres. And I would, I encourage the gentleman that would like to put a proposal in to speak tonight. And I want everybody to understand that nothing's going to get done that isn't going to have those restrictions on it. No businessman can come in and break it up. Nothing else different can happen. So we've done what we said. We have to go through this piece of it to get it out for a bid. And that will happen very shortly after this meeting if we're allowed to do so. So thank you.
Further discussion? Mr. Inglis.
Vince Ingles, 23 Huckleberry Road. Can someone give us a little more information on exactly what these restrictions are so we can have a little more peace of mind that the appropriate decision is going to be made on this iconic property and structure?
Mr. Boudreau.
Yeah, basically the restrictions in a nutshell. One, the property cannot be subdivided. When the town bought it, we could have subdivided if we wished. The property cannot be subdivided. And you really can't alter the exterior of the property in any major way without approval from the town boards and the state historic commission. So you have to maintain the facade of the building the way it looks now. And again, you can't subdivide the property. There's some other nuances in there, but those are the main ones.
On the right over here.
Hey, everyone. I'm Steve Migliero, Tappan Way. I'm the one I think who's been mentioned about expressing interest in the property. I grew up in Linfield, lived here my whole life, went to Linfield High School, have 17 other family members that live in town, so understand the historical significance that the property has within Linfield. I live in Tappan Way with my wife Kelly and our 4 children, and we'd be looking, if this came up for a request for proposal, we'd be interested in being one of the potential bidders. If we were lucky enough to potentially win that bid, we understand how significant the property is to the town and would look to both maintain and preserve it from both a historic and aesthetic perspective for where it sits in the town. So our suggestion would be to ideally hope town people vote yes on this. We'd look to maintain the property so that it still has the same significance that it has in the town today.
Mr. Boudreau.
Just to address Mrs. Campbell's comments about the difference between what the town paid and what the new appraised value is. The town bought a house with no restrictions and at least 2, if not 3, additional house lots. The town is selling a house with historic restrictions and no possibility of subdividing. That's why the appraisal is less than what we pay for, because the restrictions on the property make the property less valuable.
Mr. Shafter.
My name is Dick Shafter, 67 Pillings Pond Road. I think we're still talking about the amendment that was brought up. I believe we voted and elected 3 able-bodied selectmen, and I think we should leave the decision with them. So I'm against the amendment. They clearly, if you watch these people work, and they put a lot of hours into this, and I'm sure they're going to know more about all the ins and outs than we'll ever know about it. And leave it the way it is. The article the way it is fine. I'm against the amendment. Thank you.
Mr. Maney. She's coming.
I would oppose the amendment as well. I think if we vote this tonight, we're voting to sell it. There have been delays already for a couple of years. I don't think we need to build in any more delays. Let the selectmen deal with it as best they can, get the best price, sell it, and then we've achieved our objective.
Just identify yourself, please.
Joseph Maney, 8 Carol Ann Road. Sorry.
Mr. Faria.
Thank you, John Faria, 3 Mitchell Road. I'd like to address the proposed amendment, leaving the final authority into the town meeting. I'm an attorney. I have done hundreds and hundreds of real estate closings. I'm still intimately involved with numerous real estate transactions. One of the difficulties that you have here, and you have probably run into it yourself if you've tried to finance your home recently, is that we have what are called TRID disclosures. Those are truth in lending disclosures. The banks are limited in terms of what they can give for financing, and they have to give out truth in lending disclosures within 8 days of the closing. If you retain final approval in the town meeting, you will never be able to coordinate the sales time, if anybody is getting financing, with the time that you want to sell the house, it'll be virtually impossible to do it. Unfortunately, whether you like it or not, you are going to have to leave the final decision in the hands of the selectmen, the way that the current banking regulations work. Otherwise, this will be an ongoing process that will never be fulfilled. Thank you.
Further discussion? In the front row in the back, please. Yeah, that's you, right there in the front row. You're up. Nan. Mrs. Hockenberry, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Nan Hockenberry, Linfield Historical Society, ex-Linfield Historical Commission, and neighbor across the street from Center Farm. And I actually am looking for a clarification in the language on the amendment as pertains to Mrs. Campbell's comment about the requirement of the selectmen to sell to the highest bidder. Because the language in the last sentence says, such sale or lease otherwise to be on such terms and subject to such conditions as the selectmen may deem prudent, or what action it will take thereon. So does that language indicate that the selectmen may make a decision not on requiring to take the highest bid? They can choose who they want to sell at their discretion, their own discretion, or are they obligated to take the highest bid?
The statute speaks to the board awarding the house to the highest responsible bidder. So there will be bid requirements in the bid documents that each respondent will have to meet. If they don't meet those, regardless of whether they're the high bidder or not, they will not be considered. So as long as someone meets all the requirements of the bid and they're the highest bidder, then by law, the selectmen would have to award the bid to them. But there are caveats as to what you have to meet in order to qualify.
One of those caveats being the preservation restriction on the deed.
The biggest one would be the preservation restriction on the building, absolutely. And again, the preservation restriction is approved by the Historic Commission, by the Board of Selectmen, and by the Commonwealth.
Yeah, and help to write that.
Still working on it.
Yeah, I sort of understand. Well, okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Up in the back? Mr. Adelson.
Jack Adelson, 9 Yorkshire Drive. I'd like to move the question, please.
It's been moved and seconded that we move the question. We'll proceed to a vote on the motion to move the question. You're simply voting on whether we should end discussion and move to a motion, move to the amendment that was made by Mrs. Campbell. All those in favor of ending discussion and proceeding to a vote signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We'll proceed to a vote on the amendment, which was to amend Article 21 to include, move to amend Article 20 so final authority for the sale of the property rests with the town meeting, giving the selectmen the authority to accept bids in preparation for town meeting. That language will be added to Article 21. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it. The amendment dies. Is there any further discussion on Article 21? Mrs. Inglis.
Well, it's a tough day to see this come to pass, but it sounds like Migliero family has a good option. I just wanted to say, I wanted to ask of the Historical Society and or Historical Commission, what do we have, do we have this Center Farm captured the spirit and the legacy of Captain Bancroft, which has been written up in the papers and has defined American revolutionary spirit in a lot of ways that Linfield really hasn't given proper credit to, I think, with this 1785 structure and the fact that it might be an American Revolutionary tavern amended onto it. So I'm just wondering if the Historical Society could please speak with, you had $10,000 that was allocated to take an inventory for historical cultural reasons, and I don't see anything about that kind of stuff up at the El Merritt Cultural Center, which we really don't have access to unless we pay $150 to use. So I'm just wondering, where is it going to go when it becomes a private residence, just in case something does go wrong when we open the possibility and the risk of having somebody else take that property.
It's Historical Commission, Ms. Hockenberry. Microphone, please.
Thanks. Hi, Kendall. I'd like to answer your question, speak to that as the president of the Historical Society. We approve the sale of Center Farm as a residence, and we know that the Migliero family and who they have working with them is a really excellent choice for both them and the town to retain the character of Center Farm, almost undisturbed. What the plans are really magnificent, and I think that the town will be really happy with what they plan to do. And that's really the only way that we would approve that sort of maneuver, that sort of sale. We want our goal initially when we sort of orchestrated to save Center Farm was to have it saved as a residence, to preserve the way that the common looks, because that is our tradition, our character of our town. That's what keeps our town, the values, are your residential tax values up, the property values. That's what makes our town what it is. It makes it a desirable place to live in. It retains our history. So for those reasons, we support the sale to a family, particularly the Miglieros. Hopefully they will get the bid and implement their project, and I think you'll be very pleased with what comes out of that.
Any further discussion on Article 21? Mrs. Campbell.
In regard to the discussion by a previous speaker, a special town meeting can be called should the selectmen come up with a good proposal for town meeting to act upon. So I guess what I'm telling you to do, we did have a special meeting on Center Farm before. So what I'm
Mrs. Campbell, I'm sorry, you've spoken to your amendment, which was to delay the
Right.
sale. Are you
But
making a
now,
separate
sir,
amendment?
I'm speaking on the main motion. That's a different piece of business. And I'm
Well,
suggesting that people
there's nothing in the
vote
main
it down and let
Mrs.
town
Campbell,
meeting
Mrs.
remain.
Campbell, there's nothing in the main article that has to do with a special town meeting. You've made your amendment trying to amend it that could be brought back into
I
a
am
special town meeting.
debating the question, and I am calling into question the previous debate, which suggested that it would delay the process. But I am calling to the people's attention that we can call a special meeting should the selectmen come up with a proposal for us. Thank you.
Down in front, sir. For a second. It's been moved and seconded to proceed to a vote on the question on Article 21. You are voting currently on whether to proceed to a vote on the article. So if you'd like to proceed to a vote, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. All those in favor of Article 21, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. 2/3 vote is required. Please note that it was unanimous. Article 21, 22, I'm sorry, Mr. Barrett.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town vote to appropriate from free cash a sum of $20,000 to pay certain outstanding medical bills and to empower the town administrator to pay any and all other bills associated with August 12, 2010 line of duty injury suffered by firefighter Keith Gavro.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to appropriate from free cash the sum of $20,000 to pay certain outstanding medical bills and to empower the town administrator to pay any and all of the bills associated with the August 12, 2010 line of duty injury suffered by firefighter Keith Gavreau. Selectman recommendation?
The Selectmen recommend Article 22.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends Article 22.
Any discussion on Article 22? Mr. Crawford?
Yeah, just briefly, these were injuries that firefighter Gavreau received on duty, and there's a dispute with the insurance companies about getting these paid. They have not paid them. It's the right thing to do for the town to take care of these bills for them, and if we finally get a resolution with the insurance companies, they will pay the town back. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 2, please signify by saying aye. What did I say? 20? I'm sorry, Article 22. My apologies. All those in favor of Article 22 signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. It's unanimous. Article 23. Mr. Dalton.
I move that the town vote to indefinitely postpone Article 23.
It's been moved and seconded to indefinitely postpone Article 23. Is there an explanation?
Yes, we've been, as you know, the King Rail Golf Course is opened. We've got a temporary facility there now. We've hired an architect and worked on some plans and the design of a golf clubhouse. The initial designs have just come in. We're still working on the final estimates of where we're going to go with this. We aren't quite ready to move any money or do this type of arrangement at this point. We're going to bring this back at the October town meeting. The initial design for the site work alone was far too expensive from the initial estimates, so we're going to look at some alternatives for that site before we bring it for a town meeting. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Article 23? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote on indefinite postponement of Article 23. All those in favor of indefinite postponement signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Article 23 is indefinitely postponed. Article 24. Mrs. Wilson? No? Who's going to speak for the petitioner? Please go. Yep.
Hi, I'm Kelly Pavel. I'm here to represent the Linfield Moms Group, and I move that the town vote to appropriate from free cash the sum of $200,000 for the construction of municipal outdoor recreational facilities, including the development of land and the construction and reconstruction of facilities at the Glen Meadow Park.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to appropriate from free cash the sum of $200,000 for the construction of municipal outdoor recreational facilities, including the development of land and the construction and reconstruction of facilities at Glen Meadow Park. You could speak to your motion if you'd like, ma'am. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. If those who know Glen Meadow Park, if you've been up there lately, the Fields project redid the ball field. We've redone some of the fence, the dugouts, and everything around the ballpark. But the Fields project did not include the toddlers and children's playground that's next to the park. These funds are being requested by the Linfield Moms Group, which consists of 180 young mothers in town that would like to renovate that park. Now, that park alone has been around probably for 15 years or so, and since we last renovated it, might be a little longer now. And most of those structures have become dangerous. Some have fallen apart. The wood itself has started to rot, and it's time to renovate that park. So this would be the opportunity to do that. It's centrally located in the town. It's the largest children's park we have, and I strongly recommend that we vote yes on this article. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the article? Mrs. Campbell.
I would just like to point out that behind the senior center, next to the superintendent of schools office, which is now behind the senior center, we've spent some money to renovate there. When the preschool left, and when they left preschool equipment surrounded by chain link fence. So I would like us to, I'm not opposed to this motion, however, I would like us to consider moving that equipment that looks to me to be in very good condition when we're considering this proposal, to take a look at that equipment that was appropriate for our preschool.
Any further discussion on Article 24? Dr. Piner.
The equipment that's there actually went in 1992 when I moved to town, and most of that was funded privately, and I funded it because at the time I had a toddler and another one on the way. I'm just wondering, and I think the amount spent was something like $25,000, and I'm wondering where the figure 200,000 comes from. It seems to me that that's a little excessive to replace the equipment there. If you're planning something bigger and better, I hope you would talk to us about it and justify that sort of an expense. Also, just out of curiosity, you know, I was ponying up money when my kids were young. Maybe some of these 180 mothers would like to pony up a little money to help pay for it as well.
Up in the back, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Melissa Adams, 15 New Meadow. I'm going to speak for the Linfield Moms Group, and we did just recently have a fundraiser where we raised about $20,000 towards the playground, so we have put in our legwork. We've also been working with Townscape, and we've fundraised through Whole Foods, raised another $6,800 that will go towards the playground. So we have done a lot of work. This playground is going to cost more than we can raise on our own, so we are asking the town for help. If you'd like to see visuals of what we have, we gladly have this wonderful poster of what Glen Meadow will be. So if you'd like to see that, it's going to be great. Our kids need this. We go to other towns to play. There's nowhere to play here in Linfield where we feel like our children are safe, and this is gonna do that for us.
Any further discussion on Article 24? Hearing none. I'm sorry, oh, there are. Down in front. Sorry.
Debbie Cotting, 6 Sylvan Circle. I was just wondering if there's a recommendation from the Finance Committee and also from the Selectmen. I know Selectman Crawford spoke, but I wasn't sure if he was speaking for himself or for the board.
My bad. Mr. Crawford.
The board unanimously approved this article.
Mr. Dahlstead.
The Finance Committee did voted unanimously to recommend this article. I call a couple of things to people's attention. Sorry, this microphone doesn't like me. We're talking about taking these funds out of free cash. The projected balance of that account is almost $1.6 million, a little over $1.5 million. And honestly, looking at pictures or examining the playground, we think that it's more of a liability for the town than it is anything. So we commend the Moms Group for the money that they've raised and think that this is a good investment to keep people in the town that they live in.
Further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Katie Shea, and I do want to commend the Young Mothers for the money that you have raised. I also support this article. My children are all grown, but I had 3 children in 3 years and 6 months, and I lived in a different town with a great playground, and it saved my life. And it was great, especially when you have 2 boys that are 11 months apart, to have a place to take your children. You know they can run, and they're going to find their friends there. So I'm in support of you, and I hope other people would invest in our very young toddlers and make sure that they're safe. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Up again behind where Ms. Shea was seated, up the back section.
Two general comments. I'm sorry, Mark Clove, Chestnut Street. 2 general comments. The first one is, if we appropriate this kind of money, does it have to go out to public bid? And secondly, I just want to make the comment, when our kids were little, we fundraised the entirety of Jordan Park.
Mr. Boudreau.
The town actually has 2 options. It could either go to public bid, or the state has contractors on a state bid list that do this job. We can pick off that list. The state's already bid it for us, so we can use their contractors if we wish.
Any further discussion? Yes, sir. It's been moved and seconded to proceed to a vote on Article 24. All those in favor of the motion to proceed to a vote signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We will proceed to a vote. And before we do, we'll just ask people, we have a few more articles on the warrant. We can get through the business here pretty quickly. If people would just stay in their seats for a few minutes, we'll proceed through these last few articles. It's important that we get this town meeting finished tonight. All those in favor of Article 24, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Article 25. Mr. Faria, who speaks for the planning board?
Michael Shane on behalf of the planning board. We recommend this article. Thank you. I guess so. We didn't even really know what we were doing. Recommendation on Article 25, amending zoning bylaws, subsection 4.2.1. Uses authorized by the Board of Appeals by adding number 4. Businesses or professional office or bank wherein more than 5 persons are regularly employed. In accordance with the requirements of the town charter, the planning board has considered Article 25 and recommended the adoption.
Is there a second? Mr. Faria, you set the rookie up tonight, didn't you? It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaws by adding at the end of section 4.2.1, uses authorized by the Board of Appeals within the limited business district, the following. 4, business or professional office or bank wherein more than 5 persons are regularly employed. Is there a recommendation from the Board of Selectmen?
The Board of Selectmen recommend Article 25.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee also recommends.
Is there any further discussion on this article? Mr. Basile.
David Basile, 15 Fernway. I'd like some clarification on this because it just kind of pops out there as a regulation change, specifically what impact it may or may not have on Market Street.
Mr. Mullen.
Tom Mullen, Town Council. This will have no effect on Market Street because Market Street is a 40R zone, so it's a bubble of zoning separate and apart from our own zoning bylaw. And just by way of background, this I regard as a housekeeping matter to try to clean up a kind of embarrassing 1966 vintage piece of our zoning bylaws. The existing bylaw says that in the limited business district, you can have, as of right, business or professional office or bank, provided that not more than 5 persons are regularly employed therein. That's a head scratcher. Does it mean in the building no more than 5 people? Or what if you have a multi-tenant building? Does it mean each tenant? What does it mean to say people regularly employed therein? Full-time, part-time? How about independent contractors? How about the owners? And how do you enforce it? And for that matter, what if somebody starts out with 5 employees, but he is, as we hope, successful, and he becomes a 10-employee person or business? Does he no longer have a right to be in the limited business district? The planning board thought about this, the selectmen thought about it, and probably the easiest fix right now, and the one that allows the greatest control, is to say, if you think you're going to have more than 5 employees, however defined, go to the Zoning Board of Appeals and get a special permit. The ZBA can look into the application, get feedback from the surrounding citizens, and impose whatever reasonable conditions are necessary.
Any further questions on Article 25? If not, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 25 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. It is unanimous vote. Article 26. Mr. Dressios.
I move Article 26 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? Any further discussion on Article 26? Mr. Dressios, would you like to speak to the article?
The next series of articles, 6 of them by the planning board, the first 5, including this one, are just housekeeping activities. So there's nothing really added, nothing really subtracted.
Is there any further discussion on Article 26? 1 second. Recommendations of Finance Committee and Selectmen?
Board of Selectmen recommend Article 26.
Finance Committee recommends Article 26.
Yes, sir, down in front, right there. What does the acronym mean is the question. PWSF?
That's the wireless districts. So what happened in 2014 when we passed the wireless provision town-wide, we added a requirement on the site plan that we numbered 7.4A. That doesn't follow our numbering scheme, so we're changing it to follow our numbering scheme, which would be 7.41. This is for the wireless, review of a wireless facility.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 26, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. It's unanimous. Article 27. Mr. Dressios.
Move Article 27 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaws by revising Section 8.7 entitled Siting of Radio Telecommunications Facilities such that whenever any section, subsection, or subsection number includes 8.7, the same is changed to 8.8. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 27, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. It is unanimous. Article 28.
Move Article 28 as printed in the warrant.
It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaws by deleting embedded section numbers and replacing them with section titles in various places, as shown on page 26 of the Finance Committee report. Any further discussion? Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Under Article 28, subsection D, it refers to sections 9.5, 0.6, 0.6.15, 0.6.16. Were these article changes, or these changes of the zoning bylaws approved at the state level, which is required before they can be put at the town meeting?
These changes were approved by the state in the Market Street development 40R. Whenever we make a change to the 40R, we have to get approval by the state first before we can bring it to town meeting to vote on it. All we did was take the reference numbers out of
Any further discussion on Article 28? If not, we'll proceed to a vote.
Yes.
Mrs. Kastner?
Yes.
Any further discussion on Article 28? Not, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 28, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. It's unanimous. Article 29, Mr. Dressios.
Move Article 29 is printed in the warrant.
It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaw definitions as shown on page 27 of the Finance Committee report. Mr. Dressios.
Since this is a little lengthy, I can explain what we're doing here. We're taking all the definitions of the zoning bylaw and moving them up front into one location. So, and we're getting rid of all the numbers. Right now, we number every single word that's in the zoning bylaw, so there's 30, 40, 50, there's 4 or 5 pages of just definitions. So we're just leaving them in alphabetical order, putting them all in one spot, so it makes it easier for everyone.
Any further discussion on Article 29? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 29, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. It is unanimous. Article 30, Mr. Dressios.
Move Article 30 as printed.
It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaws by deleting Section 7.7 entitled Temporary Moratorium Medical Treatment Centers. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 30, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. It is unanimous. Article 31, Mr. Dressios.
Move the article as printed in the warrant.
It's been moved and seconded that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaws by adding the following definitions to subsection 2.5, placing them in alphabetical order with all other definitions located herein. You can see it in your book. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of Article 31, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Motion carries. It is unanimous. Article 32. Mr. Thompson.
Joel Thompson, 272 Main Street. I'm a member of the Tree Committee. I move that the town vote pursuant to Article 4, Section 217-39B of the general bylaws of the town to designate the following ways as scenic roads: Chestnut Street, Essex Street, Lowell Street, Main Street, Summer Street.
It's been moved and seconded that the town vote pursuant to Article 4, Section 217-39.B of the general bylaws of the town to designate the following ways as scenic roads: Chestnut Street, Essex Street, Lowell Street, Main Street, and Summer Street. Is there a recommendation from the Board of Selectmen?
The Board of Selectmen recommend Article 32.
Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends Article 32, but we do want to note it was not a unanimous vote.
Do you want to speak to the motion, Mr. Thompson?
Last year's April town meeting, the scenic roads bylaw was passed. Linfield became one of over 100 cities and towns in Massachusetts that has such a bylaw. The purpose of the bylaw is to designate certain roads within a town as scenic bylaws, as a scenic road, which effectively creates a level of oversight as to what is done within the right-of-way on either side of the streets in town. As it is right now, well, I want to sort of step back and say that the scenic road bylaw only affects what happens in the public right-of-way. This is town land. It is not your land. there is an interface between your land and the town land. It might be a driveway, it might be a stone wall. As it is, the town can do pretty much what it wants within the public right-of-way without any oversight by the planning board or notice in a meeting. So, under this bylaw, the tree committee went out and attempted to ascertain which roads in town were scenic, that featured stone walls, trees, historic buildings, and the tree committee came up with the five streets that are mentioned here in this, up for vote, rather. I would like to say that there are any number of towns around us that do have scenic roads bylaws and have voted in scenic roads. Weston has voted in 37 scenic roads. Sudbury 32, Peabody 4, Reading 3. I think it inures to the benefit of the town to pass this bill. When people come into town along Main Street, Essex Street, Summer Street, these are the oldest streets in the town. People passing through see these streets and get an image or develop an image as to what Lynnfield is all about. That Lynnfield respects history, its past, along with all of the beautiful new developments that we have in town, the new facilities. It creates what I believe to be a rounder picture of a community. That's about it. But the procedure in the bylaw itself, there is a procedure by which, if you want, you can go out and get work done by yourself or by others within the public right-of-way if that's what you want to do. You have to petition. You have to petition the planning board. There's a hearing. It does not have to be a particularly expensive proposition. You don't need to have a civil engineer come in. But I think it's good for the town. And I'm a stakeholder in this. I live on Main Street. I actually have two stone walls that are within the public right-of-way. I have trees that are within the public right-of-way. I could wake up one morning and to the sound of bulldozers out widening Main Street and cutting into the right-of-way in front of my house. I would like, if that were the case, to be able to see what was proposed and go before the planning board and offer my 2 cents in. Basically, it makes the town accountable for work that it does within these roads that we would hold to be scenic. They'd have to go through the process of notice and discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Further discussion on Article 2. What did I say? Having a bad night up here, folks. Sorry. Article 32. Any further discussion? Up in the back. Yes, sir.
Hello. Robert Pagos, 3 Pagos Way. So I'm a new resident to Lynnfield, and this does not concern me at all in terms of my property, but I have a couple of friends that live on these scenic roads, and I just feel that listening to some of the items that we talked about in terms of the the house in the Common. We put some restrictions on that, and we bought it for 1.2. We're selling it for 800, let's say. So the town is effectively losing $400,000 in value. Then you want to put a restriction on possibly some individual who wants to put a driveway in or make some kind of change. It just seems, it doesn't make sense to me in regards to that. I think we take away the individuality of somebody's property from that perspective, and I don't think that the town should overrule that. I understand the original question in terms of bringing it up and going through the proposal and everything like that, but that certainly costs a lot of money. I've gone through that, so I just want to, make everybody aware of that in terms of the people that are on those scenic routes and all the additional costs that they would incur if something like that happened, and certainly I just want to speak for those people.
Mr. Faria.
Thank you. This time I'm speaking for the Planning Board. Within the past couple of years, the Planning Board has gone over this time and time again. We've had numerous meetings trying to determine what should be done, if anything, with the proposals from the Tree Committee. What we did basically was turn the normal scenic road bylaw inside out. We fixed it so that the only people adversely affected by this bylaw are the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Public Works. They cannot make any changes to any road listed as a scenic road in Linfield without first going to a public hearing in front of the Planning Board where anybody affected can come in and have say. That's what it does. The second thing that it does is that some people are adversely affected presently because they have a tree that is partly on their lot and partly on the public way. You cannot lawfully cut down that tree. The present way to do it is you have to go out and you have to hire an engineer. You have to have plans made so that you can then present them to get permission from the tree warden, if you can get that permission, to get it cut down. If you don't get that permission, you've created a crime, or you've committed a crime. We've eliminated that. The way that it works now is we turned it inside out. We fixed it so that if you have a tree like that, that's partly on your land, partly on the public way, you can request a simple, quick determination from the town engineer saying that you can take that tree down. That's what this scenic road bylaw does. It's of substantial benefit to the average person in town. It protects you in many ways, and it makes things easier for you in many ways. That's basically what we attempt to do as we're working on the Planning Board. That's what our goal is, and that's what this does. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Article 32? If not, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of Article 32 signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you all for coming tonight. Mr. Crawford.
I move that this meeting be adjourned, sine die.
I second that.
Moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting, sine die. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Good night. Thank you very much.